It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the movies of July 24th, 1992. Only two movies to look at today, both of them not really much to talk about because they're pretty forgotten nowadays, but that's why I don't have the setup as usual, but we'll just run through this episode real quick. So we got two movies to look at. Let's go ahead, jump right on into it, starting off with the first movie that we have here, the biggest new release of the weekend, and that is Damon Wayans in his feature film debut, his leading feature film debut, I should say, in Mo Money.
It's cornbread. Open the door.
You didn't use the code.
The fat man walks slowly.
Well, the fat man needs to lose some weight.
Columbia Pictures presents Damon Wayans.
Hey, what's happening, bro?
What are you? And Marlon Wayans. John, in a comedy about two brothers scamming their way on the streets
You need lactate.
and into the big time.
We'd like to see your jewels, please.
What jewel exactly is it that you'd like to see, gentlemen?
That one?
This one?
You know, the big one. I like the big.
They're on the move.
Not one, not two, but three Cartier watches. Dinner at Lou Chow's. Yum yum dim sum.
On the make.
I wish I had an ice cream. It looked just like you. I'd lick it slow from head to toe.
On the run.
Are we having fun?
And definitely on the loose.
They certainly have personality.
This summer,
Two first. Which one? I have.
why settle for less?
So anyways, how much is something like this? $3,000. I love
When you can have Mo.
I got you a lawyer. Is he good?
He's the best lawyer in town. For the money.
Mo money.
Your Honor, allow me to fumigate my wisdom on the defendant.
So honestly, when I first heard about this movie, I could have sworn it was a feature film version of the skit from In Living Color, because there was a skit on In Living Color called Mo Money with Wiz and Ice, and I thought that this was it. I guess I thought maybe it was the Wayans brothers' answer to Wayne's World, which of course Wayne's World came from Saturday Night Live and was a big movie hit in the spring before this. But as far as I know, this is not that movie. This is a movie that's basically its own movie. It just has the name Mo Money. You basically have Damon Wayans as this con artist who gets a job in a credit card company. He falls in love with an employee there, played by Stacey Dash. He also steals a couple of credit cards and starts using them. And then the chief of security drags him into this big league of criminals. It's a movie that seems very simple, but as far as the movie goes, it really doesn't use what made the Wayans brothers very funny. What makes them very funny, because this was their first movie. I think they did after I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, and this was, like I said, it was right after this was right at the peak of In Living Color success. I actually think this was also when Keenan Ivory Wayans was also fired from In Living Color too. I could have sworn it was, but he has nothing to do with this movie. I think this is mostly with just Damon Wayans and Marlon Wayans, and I think that's it. And it's directed by Peter McDonald, whose last movie was Rambo 3. So talk about a major difference in movies. You got an action movie with Sylvester Stallone, and then you do this movie, and kind of like Rambo 3, it's pretty forgettable. Like, it's not really all that funny. It's not really all that clever. And Damon Wayans can be very funny. We've seen him on In Living Color, and we also saw him in movies. We saw him in The Last Boy Scout, where he actually worked out very well with Bruce Willis. But as far as this movie goes, there's not really a whole lot there in terms of the script. Like, sometimes there could be funny moments here and there, but there's nothing really there that makes it stand out pretty much. Like, it's not really all that funny. It's not really all that creative or unique. And it doesn't really feel like a movie that fits the type of comedy that you would expect from the Wayans brothers. But like I said, it's just Damon Wayans and Marlon Wayans in this movie in particular, so maybe that's why. But I don't know. I just didn't think it was all that interesting or funny, and I really didn't understand much of the plot, really. There's not really much of a plot there, honestly, and it just wasn't funny. I didn't find anything about it that amusing, that interesting. and it was largely forgotten, at least for me, at least after I saw it the first time. I barely remembered it about a day or so after watching the movie, but I mean, it made money, but not at the box office, not a whole lot, but it did make it back its budget. I think twice its budget with $40 million. So some people liked it, so I can't really argue with them on that. But as far as I'm concerned, Mo Money's just kind of a mediocre movie. Sometimes it wasn't really all that funny. It was mostly forgettable, and yeah, not a big fan of it, unfortunately. So that's my remembrance of Mo Money from the time that I remember watching it. With that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie that we have here, and that is the highly ambitious Mom and Dad Save the World.
On their way up the coast, Dick and Marge Nelson got lost in space.
Look, it's Saturn.
Now they're enjoying the scenery, chatting with the natives,
What are these, your pets? It's your family.
and boldly going where no parents have gone before.
Let me out of here.
Terry Garr, John Lovitz, Mom and Dad Save the World. Rated PG. Starts Friday, July 24th at a theater near you.
I remember seeing this preview a lot. Whenever I watched the preview channel when I was little, they would always have a commercial for this particular movie on. I never really knew anything about it until I actually saw the movie well after that. And, yeah, kind of like Mo Money, this is pretty forgettable. But, again, there was some promise in there. I mean, the visuals in here look pretty nice. And I think, and you got Terry Garr, you got Jeffrey Jones, you got John Lovitz, you got Ed Solomon and Chris Matheson, who both worked on the Bill and Ted movies. And really, there's just nothing here. I mean, this is really not a very entertaining movie. Despite the elements that are there, I think there are potentially funny moments in there. I'll give it this: the visuals still look, like I said, the visuals still look pretty nice. Some of those creature effects still look pretty good after 30 years. But the story itself is nothing really all that spectacular. You've seen this kind of story done over and over again, except this time you've got this couple from the suburbs who get abducted by aliens, and all of a sudden they have to save, as the title indicates, they have to save the world. And it's not really all that impressive or amazing. Like, it's not really a movie that really uses all these actors to their true potential. I mean, you've got a good cast here. You've got the writers of Bill and Ted, and there's nothing really here to make it work overall. It's a movie that's pretty forgettable, kind of like Mo Money, but with a lot more ambition to it. It's a movie that I think could have been something interesting. Maybe it could have had this cult following, but I honestly didn't see it, so fortunately, this is not I have to say it's not a very good movie, despite the promise that is there. There are some promising elements to it that just didn't deliver on them, so that's my thoughts on Mom and Dad Save the World. So with that said, that wraps up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll look at the movies of July 31st. We'll wrap the month off with 5 movies. Some notable ones here in particular. We've got Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, and Bruce Willis and Robert Zemeckis' Death Becomes Her. We also have Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the much different Buffy the Vampire Slayer compared to the more popular one, but we'll delve into that as we get to next week's show, or the next time we meet. But we also have Bebe's Kids, which is another movie that has a very interesting history behind it. Not quite as interesting as some of the other movies we've looked at this month, but interesting enough. We also have Enchanted April and The Panama Deception, so 5 movies to look at next time, and we will definitely do just that on the next episode. So thank you very much for watching, and as always, if you want to see more videos like this, check out the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching, I'll see you next time, and until then, take care.